So, what's up, man? How are you? What's your name?
Hi, how are you? My name is Trey. It's nice to meet
How
you.
are you, Trey?
So I heard your views on lesbians a moment ago, and I'm just curious how those views transfer to gay men. Do you believe they don't exist as well? Because you did say that lesbian relationships cannot exist because men are more multifaceted than women. That was your main argument point on lesbianism prior, and I'm just curious how that carries to
So,
gay
what are my thoughts
relationships.
on gay men?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you guys are kind of useless to society too.
Fair, yeah. I
So-
am pretty damn useless. Yeah.
You know,
But not
like-
because I'm not having kids,
well,
just because I'm crazy. But
Yeah,
that's
from the
different.
from the nuclear family perspective, right? I say that kind of as a joke, but yeah, I mean, I think the backbone of any thriving society is the nuclear family, and if people aren't contributing to that, I think it's problematic for society. So gay men and lesbian women don't contribute to that, unfortunately, and I don't think gay men should be able to adopt children either. I think that's crazy. I don't think lesbian women should be able to adopt children either. I think kids need to be protected at all costs, and exposing them to sexual degeneracy is a problem. Because that's what homosexuality and lesbianism is. I'm a firm believer that, gays and lesbians need to go back in the closet. We don't need that stuff outwardly.
That is a point of view that you are entitled to. Have a nice day.
All right. So there's a few things we got to attack here, right? Because we're going to do two parts of this. You got this one guy, right? And then you have another guy who's going to bring the Bible into it, right? We're going to bring the Bible into it. Now, not necessarily going to dive deep into the Bible, right? Other than the guy who is asking the question, but he makes some very good points. But when you look at it as a whole, it's just like, once again, I mean, we can always bring God into this, right? We can always bring God in how, men are supposed to treat women and women are supposed to treat men. But let's just be honest here. When you're talking about your man and woman in this day and age, specifically your women, they are not trying to follow what the Most High has planned for everybody. Once again, as he stated, is God, man, women, and children. And then your women want to be equal. But just going on this one right here, just going on the first video, you have a guy who he plays for the other team, or well, I take that back, he plays for the same team. He just wants to know, well, I mean, am I useless to society? Am I useless to society? Because Myron pretty much called out I guess some chick that was on here earlier, and I didn't want to play the video because it was pointless, right? It was pointless. But he says, a lot of y'all carpet munchers are just useless to society because y'all not even trying to create a family, right? Y'all pretty much over here y'all gonna end up trying to adopt a child and just mess that child up as well. And believe it or not, Myron is 1,000% right. 1,000% right. We can't always talk about we want to protect the children, but then we turn around and give people who have, let's just be honest here, the elevator doesn't go all the way to the top. If you have people who defend people who deal with the same sex, but come on, man, like the elevator does not go all the way up to the top, which is why you have gender dysphoria, right? It used to be a disease, and it still is, if we're just being honest. To say that you're attracted to the same sex, hey, and then you're trying to bring in children, and we do understand that children pick up what their parents do. So if you and that's the sad thing about it, right? Because you're people like myself, Myron, and all of these other people who walk around life with common sense, they will tell you, man, nah, y'all should not be having these children because once again, y'all are going to just have these kids do and think of bad things. And they will get upset with you and they will try to say, oh, you're homophobic, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. When once again, when you look at these children, they're going to pick up and do the same things that their parents are doing. If you just think about it, if you have all of these kids, right? Because once again, as Myron stated, you can't have two of the same sex and then think y'all gonna sit over here and raise a straight kid. Your kids will sit here, look at their parents, and if they are sitting here watching this and seeing this every single day, because you ain't teaching them nothing straight, they sit here and see this stuff every single day, and you keep telling them it is okay, they're only going to end up picking up your traits. And then you're just gonna continue to have that cycle going and going and going. So for anybody who has an issue with Myron saying what he's saying, then you are not for children. You don't care about a child's well-being. But the next guy that comes up, it kind of seems like he has a little bit of autism, right? But he asked some pretty good questions, right? Biblically, even though they are pretty easy to knock down. But let's go ahead and hear what he got to say.
Hey, what's up, man? What's your name?
Hey, name's Joshua Williams.
What's up, Josh? How are you?
Decent. How about you?
Good. I like your shirt.
Appreciate it. Wanted to ask you about your main selling point, women deserve less.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit on the first couple chapters of the Bible, Genesis 1 through 5.
Yeah, if you could go through it quick, though, because we don't want to do a Bible study here, man. We got to keep it moving. But, yeah, go ahead.
I personally believe that that the Bible is the center point of all life because it is God's divine word, and that the shirt only Jesus. When you focus on Jesus and you have Jesus centered on everything, not necessarily Jesus first, but Jesus centered, everything is going to change. Your whole life is going to change. Your whole ideology is going to change everything. So I want to focus on Jesus' creation, his perfect creation, when he created male and female. When you see all of his other creation, he says that he saw that the day and night he saw good. He saw it well. But when he talks about creation, man and female, he says it is very good. He takes it to another level that humankind, that his creation of man and woman is much different than the rest of his creation, and that they are created in God's image. So being that they're both created in God's image, both man and female, how do you say that women deserve less when they're both created in God's image?
Well, when I say that, I mean as in the man needs to be the leader, right? And the Bible obviously talks about this too, right? It goes God, man, then woman. My problem is when I say women deserve less, I mean it's vague on purpose, right? Depending on the context that we're talking about here. But in this regard, when it comes to having a family, being married, etc., it means that the man needs to be the leader, right? Now, I think the problem is that a lot of guys go into relationships thinking that their woman is equal to them and they can split the check and all this other stuff. I'm a big proponent of the nuclear family. I don't think women should work. I think men should be bearing that burden. But the problem is that we have this egalitarian mindset where we're telling men to treat their women as equals, and that's just not how it goes. I'm a big proponent. If you have the authority, if you have the responsibility of taking care of her, you should also have the authority over her to tell her what to do.
Okay.
Because let's be honest here, all the Abrahamic religions know that when you leave a woman to their own devices, they fuck up.
Mm-hmm. So now, talking about Abrahamic religions, we're going to focus on the Old Testament and how the Old Testament is based on the covenant with Moses and how that the law, the first 5 books of the Bible say that the man is to be the leader, which is shown,
and that's all I'm getting at when I say that.
Which is shown in Romans. Romans says that, and I may be quoting wrong, so forgive me if I am quoting wrong, but the New Testament says that the husband, the man, is supposed to love his family and his wife the same way that Jesus loved the church.
Yes, but see, we're kind of at the finish line right now. Before we get to that point, you need to identify the women that are even worthy of being a wife. And because I like what you're saying here, right? Like, again, I believe in a nuclear family, and I think that as a man, it's your job to protect, provide, and provision. But the problem is that most women simply don't deserve that nowadays, right? A lot of girls are promiscuous, bad habits, don't respect male authority, but they want you to wife them up. And I'm telling guys, don't do that. You got to vet women out in the beginning very hard, because thanks to modernity and feminism, what's happened basically is like all the training wheels that society had to keep things in place and to keep things in check are gone. We used to have Christianity. We used to have shame. We used to have the church. We used to have strong-knit communities. But now that's all out the wayside. So since we have removed these social training wheels, what's ended up happening is we have this deregulated sexual marketplace where a lot of women are just not worthy of being a wife. And I want guys to focus on, like, when you do identify the woman that's worthy of being your wife, then obviously you give her the world. I'm not saying not to give her everything, but she has to earn that. And that's the problem, is that we just think that girls should get things for having a vagina. And I'm here to say, like, no.
And I would say, to not necessarily add on, but just add on to my point, I say with women that may be deemed as not wife material, I personally feel that that's when you get down on your knees, you pray, and you say, Jesus, help these people.
You can pray for them.
It's just the same way that when Jesus died on the cross, he said, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. Look, you could pray for them, but my thing is, let's be honest here, man. Jesus can't even save a lot of these hoes. What makes you think you're going to do it? So that's the reality.
I just feel like I never want to lose hope on humanity, because once you lose hope in humanity, that's when things start going.
Pray for them, but what I'm saying is you
down.
don't have to invite that to your house to destroy your household. Pray for her, but like don't let her. Look, one of the worst things a man can do, and this is going to be taboo, but I'm going to say it. One of the worst things you could do is wife up a whore. So, because wiping up promiscuous women will absolutely destroy your life as a man. So my thing is you could pray for them. Obviously, you wish well upon them, but that doesn't mean you need to invite her into your life where she's in a position where she could utterly destroy you.
Okay.
Especially with the way the family courts are run and the way that child custody works and alimony and everything else like that. Like, guys have to be very cautious and careful with who they marry. And they need to reserve it for the women that are worthy. Because, unfortunately, it's not 1955, it's 2025, and women have changed a lot.
Oh, yeah.
A lot. For the worse.
Yeah. I think that just comes back to once you have your family, once you have the wife that God has set aside for you, that's when you lay down the law and you say, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord.
I agree. But you got to find the woman that's even worthy of taking that journey with. And what I'm saying is most don't qualify.
And then that's when I feel like you fall into that cycle that you pray. Like,
yeah.
You don't necessarily agree with what they're doing. You may not. Your soul, your flesh, you might not. You might not feel like that they deserve prayer. But when you are focused on God and you focus on Jesus, Jesus will lead you to pray for these people. And it may not change, but when you hold out hope and you pray, you change as a person, and people around you see that.
Fair.
And they recognize that you're different.
Fair enough. All right.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
So the guy poses a question that, hey, well, if God made man and women in his image, why would you, Myron, try to say that women deserve less? If we are both made in the image of God, that means if you're saying that she deserves less, then we as men deserve less. And these are the people who pretty much twist the ideas or misunderstand what we are saying. A lot of times they don't even misunderstand it. They just don't want to understand it. They could care less to understand it because they are triggered by a lot of this stuff. Myron's positioning is, listen, we as a society today give women way too much. And a lot of guys, man, because we already know it's hard for men to pick up women. We already know socially, it is hard for men to pick a woman unless if you just have the status, you got money, you got game. But most of your men don't have that. So when they do get a woman, you have a lot of guys who've never really experienced a lady, who just had their first girlfriend. So guess what? They're going to do any and everything they can to try to make this girl happy. They're going to go above and beyond to make this girl happy. And as Myron said in the video, that simping is pretty much you putting a woman on a pedestal while she is not reciprocating any value. So all you're doing is just going in 100,000%, while she's only doing the bare minimum and thinking that's good enough. And guys will sit here and defend that. I'm telling you, I know this firsthand. My best friend, he just got out of a relationship with a feminist. That's a blessing. But he was in that same lane as well. Oh, well, nah, my woman does this. Nah, my woman does that. Nah, my woman does this. Then when they end up breaking up, come to find out, which I already knew, but everything that's in that crib is his. But when they were dating, and I was saying, brother, like, you pretty much run this relationship. She should be treating you with a little bit more respect than she's giving you. He ain't trying to hear that. Nah. She gives me enough respect. We're this, that, and the third. And of course, she's in their ear. She's, oh, yeah. Nah, I do a whole lot for him. That's what you think. So I'm like, okay, right? And there's been plenty of times where I said, look, that's your relationship. That's how y'all run your relationship. But most men aren't going to run a relationship like that. And they will always argue it and defend it. Okay, defend your argument. Fast forward, they're not together, and then he is starting to see that, man, yeah, I was simping. I was doing a lot of freaking simping. this chick did not respect me the way I should have been respected. And that's all Myron is trying to say, that you have a lot of guys who do not know how to pick up on signals, that will rather sit in the friend zone and play the long game and sit here and listen to their best friend, the girl that put them in the friend zone, gonna sit here and listen to this girl talk about her sexual escapades, talk about all the men that done drilled her and all of this stuff, while she's crying on your shoulder because she can't get none of the men to act right. So she just continue to pile up babies. And then when she says she has enough, after she done built up 100,000 miles on that cruise and had a couple of babies, then all of a sudden that best friend, she wants to take you out of that friend zone. And it's like, man, no, you need to dead that at the beginning. And a lot of your guys go out the way to pay for these dinners, you'll be on the 10th dinner before you can even get anything. You'll be on the 10th dinner before you can get anything. So you have a lot of these people trying to challenge him, asking him crazy questions, being disingenuous. And it's like, once again, he's just simply saying, y'all guys have got to stop simping, man. It is ridiculous. All it does, it just makes you look bad. You're not going to have any respect. You're just going to be running through your money. And you also have to understand, she has 7 other guys in the friend zone while she over here getting drilled by a bunch of other guys. While you're sitting here saying, well, that's fine. She's doing her thing. She's out here living her life. Go ahead, best friend. And then you have your guys who end up dating a woman. Once again, they will let anything slide. So his whole premise is, as a man, you gotta stop sitting over here acting like you are married to this girl the first date that y'all have. You gotta stop treating this woman, man, like she's your wife when y'all only been in a relationship for 2 months. Once again, a lot of these guys are in college, right? A lot of these kids are in college. So they truly won't know, right? They truly won't know until they hit that junior year, senior year. And then they end up getting into the outside world. And just like that 19-year-old boy that we just did a video on yesterday, he is going to really see what Myron is talking about when he really gets out into the world. Now, once again, maybe Myron changed his tune over the years. Like I said, I think his message is hypocritical when you're talking about the nuclear family, because brother, you really not even worried about the nuclear family. When you're talking about a sense of a guy, man, who teaches other men how to get sex, to the point where you even have dudes calling them out because they're like, what is your message really? Like, you're talking about the nuclear family, you want to help men, but at the same time, you're telling young guys at the age of 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 years of age to go ahead and get a vasectomy.
You said the boy, what?
The hypocritical part about it is that we make fun of girls all the time for not controlling their sexual urges and being hoes all the time. Like, she belongs to the streets, all this stuff. You tell guys that they're losers if they don't go to the gym. They're losers if they play video games. You're a loser if you smoke weed. You're a loser if you watch sports. You need to exercise discipline. But when it comes to girls, oh shit, get a vasectomy because you can't control yourself, because you're not capable of exercising discipline. Why do you have to be disciplined in every single aspect of life? Networking, success, all this stuff, watching sports, playing video games. You need to be on your stuff. But for women, nut inside girls after getting a transgender surgery.
That is not promoting the nuclear family. Now, granted, he wants to have multiple wives, right? Now, right, back in the day, men always had multiple wives, right? Men always had multiple wives. So you could be talking about the nuclear family in that sense. But if we're talking about the modern day nuclear family, it's going to be one wife, one husband, multiple kids. And that's what we like to preach here on this channel. That's what you're going to see on Poor Man's Podcast and a lot of channels that are similar to this channel. That is preaching a nuclear family, but telling young boys to go ahead and snip themselves, right? And knowing that there's going to be some long-term effects, that they might not ever have kids after that, it's just mighty wild, because that's bad advice. That's bad advice. That's not saying, hey, well, listen, y'all guys need to prioritize getting a wife. And Sneeko had to call him out on that. So, hey, look, guys, like I said, to me, when he's talking about the nuclear family, like, once again, I agree with it. I agree with it 1000%, but I don't agree with the person that's saying it, because you've shown that you really don't care about the nuclear family. You only really want to prioritize guys getting a bunch of women on their meat, getting a bunch of real estate, and earning a bunch of money, which, once again, there's nothing bad. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're going to be talking about the nuclear family, that's something that you should be preaching. That's something that That's something that your channel should be centered around if you're going to be talking about the nuclear family, because that's the whole point of the red pill in the first place, or at least that's part of the red pill, is working on the nuclear family, making sure women can get married to guys and they're lowering their standards, right? They're not having these crazy ass, outrageous ass standards. So, I mean, look, guys, y'all let me know down below, what do y'all think? What do y'all think? I think the guy, I mean, he definitely asked some pretty good questions, because I mean, once again, I can see how he's trying to tie it in, but that's why I say the brother kind of got autism a little bit, because I mean, technically, we already know what he's talking about. We already know he's just saying, man, listen, a lot of you women are entitled today. We just need to tone that back, right? A lot of these women are entitled today because of us men. And we just got to tone it back. We just got to tone it back. A lot of these women don't deserve wife treatment, man, on the first date, on the second month of the damn relationship, unless if she's actually being a wife. But we already know for the most part now, your women today don't want to be a wife at first. They want to sit here. They want to be a bare minimum girlfriend until you put a ring on it and still be a bare minimum girlfriend and just give you small and pieces of progression. When you're just like, man, look, how about you just give me the whole progression and we could just move on from there. But hey, do me a huge favor, let me like, leave me a comment, subscribe to the channel. I know this video is kind of long, but hey, man, we're going to be breaking a lot of this stuff down because they are funny by having this man Myron go to all of these different college campuses, man, because this stuff is just too funny, but at the same time it's going to expose, and I'm glad he's kind of expanding his palette, right? Of course, keep fresh, you know, keep fresh somewhere else. You go out here and go make this content, but it's really going to show you how a lot of your young people are seeing life today. It's just sad because most of your 20-year-olds, your 19-year-olds, they all swing to the left. They all swing to the left. They're all liberals. They all have a liberal type of mindset or a feminist type of mindset. And it just shows how bad this society has gotten. Look, guys, do me a huge favor. Let me like, let me comment, subscribe to the channel.